So guys, I've got a lot of weed trees to cut. Now, I've got to cut them, but I'm looking for a special piece that might make me a spoon. That's a big piece there, isn't it? That's a piece of ash, I think, but it can't stay there. So I might get a very special spoon out of one of these. If I don't, this video won't go up. So these are all weed trees just from this area. I'm sure there's more that I've missed. Pull hundreds of these out seedlings every year. This has obviously been left alone, and these all been inside other things. And that big bugger, that's a piece of ash. But these are mostly ash and sycamore. But what I'm looking for, although there might be a few chickens in there, like that little chicken I carved, what I'm looking for is this and this. That's best candidate. I'll cut it and we'll see what we can make from that. And that's the bit I want. I'm going to debark it. You don't want to watch that. This is so green that if I put it in water it'd sprout leaves. So best type for me. I've never carved ash before, so I don't know how hard it will be, but we will find out. It's that debarked. I just used my Swiss Army knife. I want to cut this little bit off. I'll just draw on here just to give you an idea. If you heard a rumble, then that was my stomach. But what I want to do is cut that off there. Yeah. And whether I get this with a saw or not, I don't know. But I'll be cutting that off at the bottom. There, and thinning it all out. I'm going to try with the Swiss Army knife saw. This is my old faithful that's always in my pocket, my EDC. As you can see, it's had some damage. But the saw should be alright. So I'm going to try it. I've never sawed actually anything with this, so if it's not alright, then Swiss Army knife saws. I don't know. I will attempt to show you me doing it. I don't know how long it'll take. If it takes long, then I will speed it up or cut this bit out. There may be some swearing. I've got a good grip. Well, that worked rather well. So that sort of thing. That saw works actually quite well, but I'm going to go at it at knife. I've got the big guns out. This is that Mora. I think this is a number 7. I'm not sure. Wait a minute, does it say it on it? Or a number 6. But this is a nice knife. I'm going to take all this bottom off anyway, and obviously it's a very sharp knife, so keep it away from you. A lot of this work could have been done with an axe. But I don't have a chopping block down here. Chopping block. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm using knife as a slice. I'm slicing it. I'm not trying to push through it. I'm slicing it, and this is end grain. Although it's wet, it's still tough to cut end grain. Alright, got rid of the saw cut. I'm going to thin this piece down a little bit. And I'm just looking at it to see which side I want to take that off. I'm going to take this down some more. Should have come more square on that, I think. So changing my knife out, I'm going to get into here because I've got to hold it like this, and I managed just to stab myself. Even wearing gloves will not protect you from a little stab. Again, I'm doing slicing cuts. This end grain's quite tough. I might have to just give this knife a bit of a strop actually. I didn't strop it up after last time I used it. I'll just give that a quick go. Just 20 on each side and then quick wipe over. It should cut a bit better now. Again, my thumb's down here. I'm doing this cut, yeah? I can't reach my thumb, but keep my thumb out of the way. Just get a bit of grip on that. See, that's cutting a bit better now with that little bit of a stump on end. Could have took more off in workshop with a saw or an axe or whatever. I don't have an axe, and incidentally I'm not pulling there towards my groin, I'm pulling the piece, yeah, pulling the wood, not the knife. So again, I'll just show you this, what I'm doing here. I'm trying to bring this down a little bit, and I want that to be as wide as possible, so I'm using the big knife again and just taking that down, and I'm going to take some off in that direction, again being very careful. That end grain's tough stuff, and a lot of this carving is going to be end grain. But you can see where I'm going. I'm trying to get that as wide as possible, and I'm going to take this up here on this side, but I don't want to take too much off the handle yet because I want the strength in it. I want the strength in it to obviously get hold of to do work on the bowl, because the bowl is the hardest part with it being that end grain. But I'm thinning it down as much as I can now. I'm just going to do a little bit of hollowing out on here using this. This was a cheap set I bought. I think there were 4 pieces in it, but it had a couple of small gouges. The spoon knife won't go in there, it's far too big, and it's end grain. And all I'm doing, that's that curved one, all I'm doing is I'm controlling it and get it in any way I can to get this wood out, basically. But I've got my thumb on it here as a stop, you see, so even though I'm going in some strange directions, and that curve just follows that bowl nicely when you get into it, so you can get some chips off. There's faster ways to carve stuff, but by hand is always much nicer. Comes out with soul in it, you know. So I've been working a little bit on the inside of the bowl, and I've decided I'd let the piece of wood tell me where I want to put, which side I put the handle on. And what I'm going to do is take it from this back here, and my handle will go that way. I don't know whether you can see that, but striking a little line on there. So I'm going to take that away, and I'm going to take a little bit away on here. But I'm wanting to keep the grain. I don't want to be cutting through grain. I want to keep the grain and the strength for the handle, but I want to thin it down a lot. But it's coming off at back because that strength is in that bit there. It's just in case my wife pops me with it when I come in late. I'll take a bit off this just to show you, and this should strip really nice depending which way grain's running. And all I'm doing is taking a lot of wood off now, which will get me in. But before I do go nuts with that, like I say, I want to get the bowl more refined. This is running. I don't want to cross that grain. I want to keep that strength in there, and hopefully I've nailed that. Hopefully. But I'm going to get back on bowl. I'm just working inside this bowl and just keep going around it. And I don't know whether you can see, but it just takes little curls off. And I'm trying to thin it out as much as I can and get a nice little dip in there, which it's not bad, it's getting there. I'm going around trying to keep it as even as I can. It's handmade, but hey, I'll try and keep some symmetry to it. You can see end grain in here, a little knot there, look. Well, knot, that's the other stem that came up here. I'm just working on this and I'm thinking about it. And two things. How long do I want the handle? The handle's very long on this. I want it that long, so it'll reach bottom a biggish jar, yeah? Yeah? What I've done is I've put a mark on back to the height of that jar. It's not it. This is coming off anyway. I'll lose that mark, but I'm just trying to explain what I'm going to do. That's the top of my jar. This is ash, so it should bend. Apparently, it bends quite well. So what I'm going to do, if it's steam bent, steam bending I could do, but because it's green, I'm just going to try and eat it with a air gun, hot air gun, and put a bend in it. I'm not trying to bend it in half. I'm just trying to put a back curve on it. But it's got to go above that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin all this out in that plane to where that bend's going to be. I'll bend it probably a little bit higher than that because there's a knot there. And hopefully I can bend it. But what I'm going to do is thin in this direction. But when this direction, I'm going to thin it in that direction. A little bit of elegance. I'm checking down that I'm going across, yeah? If it wanders a little bit, I can correct it. I'm trying to get it down to one layer basically. It's not so much important on back side, but on front side it will be more important to get down. Hopefully it'll bend. It's not cross sewn obviously. It's not quarter sewn, sorry. So if I break it, it'll be a shorter one for smaller jars. The curve will start about there. It's above that knot. So I just want to put a little curve on it. I'll try it with a heat gun first, just to see if I can get some elasticity in it. But if that don't work, as I say, I'll put it in some hot water. See if that helps me. And all I say I'm doing is lining that up so that it's square with the head. And then what I'll do is I'll take some off that side, which I won't do yet. I'll do that bend first, see if I can get that bending. Yeah. So I haven't wet it, but I'm going to try and bend it here. I've slimmed it down a bit more. Things could happen here.
It snaps.
Got a little bit of pull out. Just ends of them fibres. They're blowing it. Jojo. Got a bit of breakout on them fibres, but that's why I left plenty of meat on it. Get back to carving it. It's cooling, as I say. Fibres, I've got some compression there, but I'm sure I can carve that out. It didn't snap. I've got some compression there, and there was some breakout on some of these fibres on sides. It hasn't broke all the way through, all it's done is split them off. If I'd have wet it, it might have gone better, but I'm not complaining, considering it was in that direction. Now I've got it into other direction, and that's set up now. And all I'm going to do is clean it out around. I can carve into that and get rid of that dent. But like I say, I left plenty of meat on it so that if it did split off, like it did a little bit, I can get rid of it. Try that knife. eating grain there.
Go with the grain.
And all I'm going to do is work away at that thickness. So that length is not, that might come off at about there. About that sort of height. I'll just show you what I'm doing here. Just taking this top down to that sort of thing. So all I'm doing is chopping it off, basically. Getting deep cuts into it and just chopping it back. Because that'll also, hopefully, I'll bring that back thinner there, not take so much off at back, and that'll also bring that curve. Again, I'm just thinning it out as I go along, you know. Keep looking at it, spinning it around, see where I want to be. And I look that's flat in line with my bowl. So I need to take a little bit off that side. That's what I'm trying to do, bring that down so I've got a transition. I'll keep at it. I'm going to bring that down there and I'll show you. As you can see, I took some more wood off it. I'll just show you this a couple of cuts, what I'm doing. That's like your normal pouring cut, yeah, where I'm just doing that. But on this side, I'm going like this. All I'm doing is holding this knife, and any pressure I'm putting on is from that thumb. That thumb's doing all work, yeah. So that I'm not pushing into my hand. I'm pulling with my thumb, so I've got complete control. Because it is neat, and you can take lovely little cuts off, you know, just smoothing stuff off with that. You've got to keep paying attention to direction at grain. I don't know how long this spoon will last because it's got a core pith all the way through it, yeah. Like I say, if it had been a big piece and I could have split it and had two pieces, then obviously core would have been gone. That would have been cut off on either one at the sides. That's where I am so far. Managed to nick myself again. Wear gloves. That pith is giving me a problem. It comes in there, runs up through here, pops out there. So on this back here, I've just gouged it out with a small, I don't know if you can see, a small gouge. I'm going to try and put it in as a decorative piece, but I'm also going to pull that off all the way back to there at that back. Yeah, I'm going to cut that back so that that pith, because that comes in there, runs through from there to there. It's designing itself. Yeah, that looks a lot better, actually. I'm going to call this spoon the blood, sweat and sweating spoon, because I sweated when I was cutting it out from underneath the bushes, and I swore when I cut myself and bled. So guys, I have done a little bit of sanding on it. I've finished it off basically. There's just a couple of more things I've got to do. I'll just tell you, I did a lot of scraping. I use a knife as a scraper. People will go funny about that, but if steel's good, then it won't curl. If it curls, steel's no good. It's not a good knife. And again, a couple of strops, it's sorted. But what I've got to do is make a hole in the bottom, and there's that core, the other pith that come off the other branch, and all I'm going to do is pop it through, which is very easy because it's very soft. It's very soft, and I have a hole, and I'll just ream it out a bit, and that will drain the vinegar or whatever the olives or the onions are in. I'll have to clean it up a little bit, and I'm also going to put I'm going to hit it with a heat gun and try and get some colour into it, and then I'll put some oil on it. Now, I don't know how it'll react to vinegar because of the tannins. Some will discolour, some woods will discolour, so that's another reason I'm going to try and darken it up with the hot air. I have a hole. I'm going to work on that a bit and I'll show you me doing hot air and finishing it. So as you can see, I finished that hole up a bit. It's not quite on centre, that's just where that pith came through, so that's how that will be. That's that bit of floating. I'm going to try and darken it with the heat gun. I've still got a little bit of a click there where I bent it, so hindsight, hot water might have done it better. I might get some bits off the rest of the tree and have some experiments with bending that from the bit I cut it from, because experimental is better than breaking the piece. But I'm really pleased how that's turned out. Let's see how it goes with this, and we will see. See that grain now on the end. I'm going to put some oil on that and call it done. So this is just some food grade oil, yeah, for this sort of thing. You can use mineral spirits. I have got some mineral spirits as well, but I bought this extra and I've never used it. Because this is being heated up, it should really drink it in. Just like it how that heating up brings any grain out in it, you know. It's more controlled as well than blowtorch. And I'll get a couple of coats on that. And then I'll give it to the wife. So if you like my olive or pickle spoon, give us a thumbs up and drop us a comment in. It all helps. And don't forget, it's nice to be nice.